This is Big Poppy Racing.
Welcome back to the 2020 Diecast Games. This is Big Poppy's today's event 9, the 1 mile. It's a straight shot, 85 foot of track. It'll start in the back of the Yukon with our starting assembly. Car will be released. We'll go down the straightaway. There's a slight downhill to all of this until you hit the end of the 85 feet. 64 cars will participate. Only the top half will get scores. They'll be scored as in previous events. I will be using the Seconds Count app to calculate the times on the cars. Here's our demo. Everybody loves the Fox body. Release. Once the car releases, there's a strip of tape. So we'll have a live start. And we'll go from that until it hits right at the finish gate. That time was 8.132. Let's take a look. Toon Tracks Racing is the first car up. He's got a DeLorean, faster than ever. Here's the release. That's the little tape mark. Car moves pretty good. Finishes. And he's going to have a 6.534. His second entry, the Batmobile, also a faster than ever. Release down the track. Straight shot by the midway all the way to the end. And his time will be 6.468. So he set the bar. Next up, MDG, Michael's Diecast Garage. He's got his Ford GTLM. Release down the track. Here he goes. Car's moving a little faster, it looks like. And 6.239, so he is. Right now in first, here's the Roger Dodger 2.0. He starts down the hill. And he'll finish the race with 6.4 flat. So that's going to put MDG currently in first and second, moving Toon Tracks down to third and fourth. Next up, Crazy Fresh Entertainment and Little Miss Mac. She's got the 70 Road Runner. We'll start. A little heavier casting. And the time's going to be a little slower, 6.867. Next up, that Matchbox Spider, Mitsubishi Spider, convertible, comes down. Moves a little bit faster, it looks like. Yeah, 6.533. So that's going to leave MDG still in first and second, Crazy Fresh fourth and sixth. Next up, the Rogue Racer. He's got his Lamborghini Diablo. Heavy casting, very low slung. Coming through the end of the track, 7.500. And his next is the first Roger Dodger. Coming down, much faster it looks like. As you see, the camera work's getting better as I get more experience with it. 6.199. So that's going to put Rogue Racer in first with his Roger Dodger. And 7.5 will put him in eighth. Next up, Rust Belt Racing. He's got the Porsche 917. He starts down the track. He's going to be a little slower, it looks like. If I can camera work like that on it, it's a little slower. And he's going to end up with a 11.334. His next car, the 62 Nissan Junior. Truck comes through the fast. Wow, he's faster. Look at this. He's going to end with a 8.067. So Rust Belt, that's going to put him in 9th and 10th right now, as you can see the standings. Next up, Big Poppy Racing. His first entry is a Ferrari F40, the Go version. He's been doing pretty good in these Olympics. Probably one of his best cars. Down we go. Through the run. And 6.233. Good time for Big Poppy. And here has been the most disappointing car for Big Poppy, his Lancer Evo, which he had high hopes in, and just like this, 7.467, not very high. Well, anyway, Big Poppy will get second with the Ferrari at the moment and the Lancer Evo. Next up, Bad Burn Racing. He's got the Chevy Silverado. Here's the truck. Coming down, moving pretty good. He's going to end with a time of 6.599. 6.599. Next is the Audi Avant. And it's scooting, looks about the same. Let's see what we got. 6.5 flat. So that's going to help Bad Burn. He's going to be in 6th and 9th presently. Next up, Dirty Deeb Racing. Got the BMW Roadster. Released, and down we go. Not much to say about this track. It's just a straight shot. He will end with 7.701. And next up, that old casting, the Speed Seeker. His fantasy casting for this games. And the Speed Seeker will give us a 6.867. So Dirty Deeb will be 11th with the Speed Seeker and 14th with the Roadster. Next up, Hot Wheels Calgary. And Aaron's got the Vega. Oh, no, sorry. It's the F40. Here's the release. Car's moving well. Quick car, yeah. Look what we've got. Here's a 6.166. His fantasy casting, the Speed Bump, is his next entry. Released, and down we go. Moving pretty good too. 6.3 flat. So Aaron in Hot Wheel Calgary is taking over 1st and 5th. First place with that Ferrari F40. Way to go, Aaron. JX4 Racing is next in his first entry, the Ferrari 308 GTB. Released, and here we go. Moving pretty good. We've got a 6.367. The next entry is his Way Too Fast. Just a straight shot. And he finishes with a 6.766. So JX4 will take 8th currently with the Mercedes, and you can see there 13th. Next up, Arc Command. He's got a Dodge Challenger. It's going to race out. Here we go. Released. Down the track. Runs pretty good. And he's going to end up with, well, a little slower. Looks like 7.134. Next is the Track Ripper. That's his fantasy entry. A lot of folks gaining a lot of experience with these games. Unlike other places, I do not have permanently built tracks. 8.367, so Arc Command will end up in 16th and 21st currently. Next up, Red Pill Racing. He's got the IROC laser wheel. Down he goes. Coming in, of course, they're going to be fast. They got good weight to them too. 6.233. Next, the Carbonator. Carbonite, I guess it is. Long stretch, good moving. Car doesn't 6.167 doesn't lurch around on the track a whole lot, so he's going to do 2nd and 4th currently, tied for 4th with his entries. Next up, Po' Boy Racing. He's got the F50 Ford F50, a 2009 model. Nice. His time is 6.4. And next he has his Shadow Jet. In the line, here we go. He's going to end up with a 6.401. So Po' Boy going to be right beside himself, 9th and tied for 9th and in 11th with his times. Next up, my Hot Wheel collection, Mr. Kev. He's got a Ford GT40. Down the track. Good speed. Oh, that's good speed. Let's see what he ends up with. He'll end up with a 6.134. Very nice. He's also got a black Ferrari F40. Here he comes, released. Down the track, also making good time. and he's going to end up with a 6.467. So my Hot Wheels collection will now be in first place with his GT40 and 13th with the Ferrari. Next up, Fast 5 Racing. He's got a 1980 Corvette. Cars released. Down the track we go. And he will end with a time of 6.834. Next is the Fantasy Casting F Racer. As I was saying earlier, my tracks are not stationary and in place. We build and do each of the games as we go. I'm going to build a track, but the time on this car is going to be a 10.504. So that's going to put Fast 5 at 20th and 29th currently. Next up, the Racer Who Says Knee. He's got the 68 Nova. Released, and down he goes. This is like that Roadrunner, earlier or heavier casting. And he's going to end with a 6.702. 6.702. And next is his custom Z300ZX. Car moving about the same, looking pretty good. And he will end with a 6.767. So we're halfway through. He's 19th and 21st. So it's starting to look like if you ain't got an early 6 time, may no place. Here's Gen X Vintage Racing. He's got the custom V8 Vega. Just looking at the cars that have run so far, it looks like the top half are 6.5 and better. His time is going to be 6.600. Next up is going to be his Ferrari 360 Medina. Faster than ever. See through one of those X-ray racers. And his time is going to be 6.533. So the Medina will be in 16th and the Vega in 20th currently. Next up, it's Jim L and QC Racing. He's got his Johnny Lightning Studebaker Coca-Cola pickup truck. Nice castings right at the weight limit, moving pretty good. And Jim L's going to finish this one with a 6.167. Nice time. And his second car is a Shadow Jet. Down he goes. Moves pretty good. He's moving at good speed too. And he's going to end with a 6.5 flat out. So Jim L is now in third with the Studebaker, as well as 16th with the Shadow Jet. Good racing, Jim L. Here we go. Next up, Rhett Nelson Rogers. R&R Racing. He's got the Ford GT 40 also. Down the track he comes. He's not moving quite as fast as the other GT40. He's got a 7.6 flat, and his Way Too Fast will be the second car. He's moving a little bit faster, it looks like, and he's going to end up with 6.601. So, R&R Racing, 23rd with the Way Too Fast, and the GT40's out of the placings. Next up, Taiwan Sandy Mack is the lady's name. He's got a Jaguar XJ220. Moving pretty good. Looky here, folks, 6.1 flat. And she also has a Roger Dodger 2.0. Released, and down we go. And they're going to end up with a 6.3 flat. So Taiwan Sandy will come in first right now, take over first and 10th. Next up, Hot Car Track, Simon D. He's got that 64 Chevy Nova Gasser. Down it comes through the track. His time will be 6.899. Next up, he has a Jaguar XJ220. A lot of 220s going on in this tournament. Hey, and he didn't finish 6.311, or I'm sorry, 1.33. He's going to take second currently. And the other car, of course, will be out. Next is Your Nightmare Racing. Your Nightmare Racing has also a Johnny Lightning Coca-Cola Studebaker. The earlier car ran pretty good in the low sixes. He's going to do the same, it looks like. Could he break? No, 6.001. Just almost broke the 6-second mark. Second is a white F40. Here we go. Down the track. Past the finish line. And he finished with a 6.103. Two good times for your nightmare. He'll take over first and third with the F40. Your Nightmare Racing. Next up, Nick Devers. Nick Devers Racing. He's got the Mercedes 500 SEC. Here's their track. Also one of the laser wheels by Matchbox. Moves pretty good. Across the finish line, 6.234. And then next up, he's got a Datsun 280ZX. Popular car when I was a teenager. Also a laser wheel. Here he's going to make a 6.167. So good, two good times by Nick. He's going to do 7th, tied for 7th, and go to 13th with the Mercedes. Next up, the Lady of Speed. She's got that Chrysler 300, who's been a good car in this Olympics. The only model in the Olympics as an entry for anyone. And look at this time, 6.167. Her second car, Nissan 350Z car. Down and released. Here's the straightaway run. 6.432, which is going to put Lady of Speed tied for 7th and 26th at the moment. Next up, Uncle Elvis Racing. His first entry will be the Jaguar XJ220. Down the straight. And going to finish with a 6.634. His second entry is a Mazda RX-7. Released and down the straightaway. A little bit slower. Have a time of 7.601. So Uncle Elvis will be out of, with both cars, be out of the standings. Silverback Racing in next. He's got that Aurora racing for the first entry. We will end with a 7.4 flat. Next up is Maserati. It's an MC12 model. Down the straightaway through, and a little better time, 7.267, but it will be below the top 32. Next up, the League of Speed. He's got that Honda Civic. Starts down the track. He will end with a time of 7.034. And then the Hot Tub, also an FTE. Released down the track, running good. Hot Tubs are usually pretty good because of the wheel. 6.233, so it's a pretty good time. So League of Speed will be 12th, tied for 12th. And the other car will be out of the placings. Next up, Madness Motorsports. The 69 Dodge Charger is first entry. Coming down the track, a little slower time it looks like. He's going to end with an 8.1 flat. His second entry is that Nissan Skyline 2000 GTR. Moving a little bit faster, he's going to end with a time of 7.535. So it looks like, yep, he'll be out of the placings with both of his cars. Next up, Don and Kaboom Racing. He's got that Porsche 928. Heavy casting. He's been running well every time he gets a chance. Looks like no exception here. 6.201. Nice time. His next car is the Nude List. An older casting, heavy, and it runs pretty good too. Let's see what he's going to do. 6.298. So Kaboom Racing is going to be 12th and 18th at the moment. Next up, Peter B. Racing. Only 6 more cars left. He's got that Jaguar D-type, like the casting. Only one in the games this year. But he's going to come down, do well with a 6.234. Next up, he has a Lexus. Down the track. And he will have a 6.6 flat. So Peter B will go into tied for 16th with his Jaguar. And then the other car will be just outside of the standings. Next up, Hot Wheel Racer Mike in Ohio Valley Racers. He's got the Monte Carlo concept. These are usually pretty good straight racing cars. And he's going to end with a 7.065. Next is his what? 4.2. Down the straightaway. He's going to be a little better time, I think it looks like. Yeah, 6.5 flat. So Hot Wheel Racer Mike and Ohio Valley Racers will be in 29th with a 4.2. Next up, Mark, CRC Racing. He's got that Dodge D100, an 87 model. Didn't think this truck would do really well in this kind of race, but he ends up with a 7.634. Next up is another Lancer Evo. And he's going to have, much better time than the last car. He will end with a 6.535. So CRC will be out of the standings. Mark D with the Lancer Evo up top. So here's the scoring for Event 9, the mile. The Studebaker with Your Nightmare Racing will take first. You've got the placement in the left-hand column with the time and the points on the right-hand side. We will only place this. The first event we actually scored 32 cars. Or 33 cars because there was a tie for 32nd. So as we go down, this is the rest of the scoring, or rest of the times for the cars. And that carries us to the car standings after 9 events. As you can see, that's Studebaker with the 32 points, and the Carbonite with the 24.5 are in the lead, just barely, in the Jaguar, and as it goes down the list. That's the top 44. Now we'll go down and look all the way down. I think I have 50 places placed on the spreadsheet itself, but as you go in and look here, the other cars that have placed all the way through down, we're going to go carry you all the way through to all the cars that have scored. And after that, we'll go to the team standings after 9 events. So Red Pill Racing, back in first place, just behind him, Your Nightmare Racing. League of Speed, Nick Devers, all of it are right there. So you can see him go all the way down for the total points. Again, folks, we thank you so much for watching. See you next week for Event 10, the Relay.
This has been a Big Poppy Racing production.